I discovered a love for reading early in my childhood. I have read too many books to recall all the titles, main characters, and themes, but I do remember the joy of turning the last pages and the feeling of longing as I read the last words. I remember trips to the library and the excitement of selecting books to bring home. The hard part was selecting a book because it meant having to turn one down, at least for the time being. My mother read The Hobbit to me when I was just 10 years old. This version of The Hobbit was filled with beautiful pictures on every page. The pictures alone told the story of Bilbo Baggins, the trolls, the lonely mountain, and the formidable dragon. She read The Diary of Anne Frank to me when I was a teenager, and we cried together. She read Huckleberry Finn and the Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and we laughed together. I remember lying on the beach at the age of 10 with my first adult novel in hand. Cujo, by Stephen King, was probably not the wisest buy for a 10-year-old, but my mother always encouraged me to read whatever I desired. I finished the book before the week-long vacation was over, and I remember how the mystery and fear in the words made me long for more pages. Stephen King opened my eyes to other authors such as R.L. Stine, Christopher Pike, and L.J. Smith. I began collecting every colorful book on a bookshelf in my room. I placed the books in the traditional Roy G. Biv formation on my shelf to showcase the collection. I remember wanting to share these stories with my friends who didn't read. I thought if I could get them to read just one haunting tale, that they would become readers for life. In elementary school and middle school, I read most of the Judy Blume's books. Every story helped me to deal with the familiar issues surrounding my early years. It felt refreshing to know I was not alone. I spent my summers at the pool or the beach just reading. My friends would probably say that I always had a book in my hands. In middle school, my love for vampires and the supernatural led me to pick up the Vampire Diaries series by L.J. Smith. I fell in love with and idolized Elena, the beautiful human girl who fell in love with two vampire brothers. I remember wanting to be Elena and have her popularity and the love and attention from the handsome vampire brothers. Early into high school, I had to discard reading for pleasure to read my list of summer reading novels. I was apprehensive at first. How can someone tell me that I have to read certain books? How will they know that I will like them at all? A part of me wanted to be rebellious, but the good student inside of me forced the pages open to Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. It wasn't long before I had also read The Sun Also Rises and For Whom the Bell Tolls. I eventually wrote my first critical analysis on the stoic figure as seen in Hemingway's novels. It was my favorite assignment in high school English. I gained respect for the writings of William Faulkner as I traveled to the fictional county of Yoknapatawpha in The Sound and the Fury. I read Kate Chopin's The Awakening and Desiree's Baby. There was seldom a short story or novel that I read in school that I didn't like. I enjoyed To Kill a Mockingbird as a freshman in high school and Lord of the Flies in 1984 as an upperclassman. College was more of the same. I entered Virginia Tech in the fall of 1998, skipping freshman English and enrolling in a sophomore fiction course. I remember reading Crazy in Alabama and becoming a part of the crazy actions of Lucille as she murdered her husband and took off to discover her dreams as an actress. In a children's literature class during my sophomore year, I read The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. The pages were filled with a strong-willed girl named Lyra Belacqua as she struggled to discover the purpose of dust and understand free will. Her adventures with Will brought me fear, grief, and longing. The final words in The Amber Spyglass, the third and final book in the series, were blurred with the tears that filled my vision. After college, I entered the world of the 50-hour work week and found little time to read. I found comfort in the pages of White Oleander, The Perfect Storm, and Flags of Our Fathers only on week-long vacations. Recently, both my sister and sister-in-law pressured me into reading the Twilight series. Back into the mysterious world of vampires, I picked up The Vampire Diaries, only to find that L.J. Smith had added yet another book to the series. I read all 9 vampire books in just one summer. It's safe to say that my entire life has been an exciting journey through the words on the pages of books. My desire is to become an English teacher who can instill this passion into her students. I hope to one day have a classroom library filled with the books that have inspired me throughout the years. I want my students to have access to these books and to select the stories that they can relate to and enjoy so that they will too become lifelong readers.